Director Bryan Singer's Jack the Giant Slayer comes out this weekend. While all the other movie enthusiasts are going to be talking about his old movies like Usual Suspects and X-Men, you are going to be super awesome because you're going to be the only one talking about Apt Pupil. So between The Usual Suspects, his breakout hit, and X-Men, the thing that made him a box office genius, Bryan Singer made a little movie called Apt Pupil. It's from the same book of short stories that Stephen King wrote that produced the movies Shawshank Redemption and Stand By Me. It's put right in between them. So, Apt Pupil, from beginning to end. Todd Bowden is this 16-year-old kid in high school, and he's just finished studying the Holocaust. Todd's like, oh yeah, I want to know more about the Holocaust. He goes to the library, and over the credits we see him researching, you know, concentration camps, all of the war stories. He gets on the bus, he's riding home, and he sees somebody that looks suspiciously like both Gandalf and one of the Nazis that he saw in the photos, except much older. Practically right as the opening credits are ending, Kid is going up to the guy's house. And he's like, hey dude, I fingerprinted your mailbox, and I have all these photos of you. Your prints match this Israeli rap sheet for war crimes for this super bad Nazi guy. And Gandalf's like, leave me alone, it's not me. The kid's like, yeah, it is you, and guess what? I'm going to tell everybody in the world.
What do you want?
Tell me all the stories that they won't tell us in high school. So he starts telling him stories. This is when you know that the kid is not a protagonist you particularly feel like following. The kid's like, what I really want to know is what did it feel like? And the Nazi dude is like, oh man, I can't believe I have to do this. The kid goes over for more stories. He brings over a Nazi costume from a costume shop and plays My Pet Nazi with Gandalf.
March.
And things get all out of hand.
That's right.
He starts like hiling in the middle of the kitchen, and it's a total freak out, and Kid's like, stop it, knock it off. And then dude is like,
You play with fire.
so then while Todd goes to a high school party and strikes out with the ladies, Nazi guy finds a cat in his backyard and tries to stick it in the oven. Basically, this kid has unlocked something inside the dude that he had buried for quite some time. But the cat escapes. Don't worry, the cat escapes. Cat's like, you shall not pass, Gandalf. And then Todd continues to be an awful protagonist by picking a fight with his best friend Joshua Jackson, who we all love because he's awesome in Fringe. But no, his best friend's more interested in Nazis, playing basketball, and, as it turns out, murdering birds with broken wings with a basketball. Nazi dude is getting more and more into this thing, and he starts wearing the costume around the house. He looks out the window. This homeless dude is going through his garbage looking for bottles. That's a subplot that surely will not come back. As Todd's grades are getting worse, he's like, we need to do something, man, because if my parents find out about this, you know, I might just have to tell everybody that you're a Nazi. And he's like, how is this my fault? And he's like, you tell me all these stories about concentration camps that keep me up half the night. Todd gets called to his guidance counselor's office one day. Lo and behold, it's the Nazi, sitting there pretending to be his grandfather, talking to a very mustachioed David Schwimmer. The Nazi guy is like, look, my grandson has problems at home, maybe we can give him another chance. And Schwimmer's like, if you can pull all A's, everything's gonna be fine. The kid's like, I can't do this, I've let my grades slip too far, how am I supposed to get all A's on my finals? Schwimmer's like, so no one told you life was gonna be this way. You can do it, okay? So he goes back to the Nazi's house and he's like, what were you thinking, man? The Nazi's like, you know what? I don't care. You really have to study. Means you can't come around here bugging me anymore. Todd hits the books. He throws away all his Nazi proof. Not a great idea. And he pulls off the all A's. While they're celebrating by glaring at each other, the Nazi's like, listen, while you were studying, I wrote down this whole story. I named all the names and I told all the stories.
Wrote down the story of his involvement with the boy.
I put it all in a safe deposit box that will only be opened by me or upon my death. If I just pass away from old age right now, you're done for. He leaves the dude's house and he goes back to being a baseball star, and life is good, and he kind of has a girlfriend. It's like the teenage dream. Until the Nazi's coming home one night, and that bum who was rifling through his trash is there, and he's like, I know something about you. And Nazi's like, what? And he's like, I know you're a good, kind person. He takes him home. This is a weird plot twist for this, but that's fine. The homeless guy comes back to his place, and it's totally weird, and the bum's like, you know, maybe I could use your shower or whatever. But instead of that, the Nazi stabs him in the back. Dude freaks out, falls down the stairs, and the Nazi's like, oh, okay, I'm having a heart attack right now. He calls Todd, and Todd's answering the phone. He's like, yeah, I can't come over right now. I have a life, and you're weird, Nazi guy. And the Nazi's like, look, I'm having a heart attack right now, which means the safe deposit box is going to be open. Help me. So Todd heads over right away. The Nazi guy's like, look, so we need to call an ambulance for this heart attack, but you need to take care of that situation at the bottom of the stairs. And Todd's like, come on, man. But he goes down there anyway. Gandalf locks him in the basement. Guess what? Homeless guy's not dead. Gets up, is all freaked out because he's stabbed and hurt from falling down the stairs. Anyone would be. And Todd grabs the shovel and starts wailing on him until he stops moving. So now Todd is a blood-splattered murderer. Ambulance shows up, takes the Nazi to the hospital. Todd goes back. He buries the homeless guy's body in the earthen floor basement of the Nazi's house. At which point my wife turned to me and said, guess what we're never gonna have? And I'm thinking shovels, corpses, an earthen floor cellar. And she's like, absolutely right. So he covers up the crime, burns the Nazi costume, and he's like, look, I took care of everything. I just need the safe deposit box key. And the Nazi's like, dude, there was never any safe deposit box. I'm a Nazi. I'm a liar. And then the Nazi's like, one more thing, Todd. What did it feel like? And Todd's like, oh no, what have I become? Then he runs out. The guy in the next bed gets up, wanders over, and is horrified. He has a number on his arm. Reports it. Nazi dude gets caught. Cut 2. Graduation. Todd, the homicidal 16-year-old Nazi sympathizer, is valedictorian. Guidance counselor Schwimmer comes up to meet his alky mom and deadbeat dad, alright? And then he's like, oh, it's a shame that your grandfather couldn't be here. And Todd's like, we should get going. The cops discover Nazi's cellar. Mustachioed Schwimmer shows up. Why is your grandfather a Nazi in the newspaper? And Todd's like, ho, man, ho. The Nazi knows that they're coming for him, unplugs his IV, blows into it, and kills himself. Todd is in the driveway and he's like, listen, man, I wouldn't tell anybody about this whole Grandpa Nazi situation, because if you do, I'm going to have to tell them that you were totally coming on to me. That'll ruin your career forever. And Schwimmer's like, no one ever told me life was going to be this way. And skulks off. And Todd stands there looking creepy with a basketball, which is actually pretty hard to do. Todd has become the evil he was inquiring about. When this movie came out, I never saw it in the theater. I saw it on VHS in '99 when I was working at a video store. It made my top 5 of the year. I'm a big Singer fan. I love all of Singer's early stuff. Having just rewatched this, it doesn't hold up as well as Usual Suspects or X-Men do. Some of the twists and turns feel a little forced, unlike Shawshank and Stand By Me, both of which we just recently watched. It doesn't pull you through as seamlessly. The beginning is all fascinating and very creepy, which is great. Apt Pupil just doesn't stand up to the Bryan Singer test of time. Still better than Superman Returns, though. And then if you want to get, like, super pretentious about it, you can draw a parallel between Jack the Giant Slayer and Apt Pupil, in that they're both about young men who uncover a secret world of monsters, right? Their interaction with the monster causes them to find out what kind of man they're going to be. Which of these Bryan Singer directed movies was your favorite? Usual Suspects? X-Men? Superman Returns? Jack the Giant Slayer, if you've seen it already, or the pilot of the TV show House MD. He directed that. He was an executive producer on the entire series. The thing I've probably seen the most by Bryan Singer is that opening shot of House, going from the X-ray rack focusing to House's face. That's a Singer shot, man. It's awesome. Singer is a great director. Let me know which one was your favorite in the comments. For those of you who want to know what's been happening on Pops this week, I finished 3 more VFX shots, putting the running total at 20 so far, and I'm going to keep working on that, and I will see you next week.